Hey guys, my name is Olga and welcome back to my channel. And today we are gonna try new eyeshadow palette from Natasha Denona Bloom Palette. You're gonna see swatches, of course, free looks using this palette with wear test, and of course, we are gonna discuss everything, and we are gonna compare this palette to quite many other palettes. We're gonna do swatches and we're gonna discuss everything. So take a seat and let's start. First look, and today I wanna do smoky eyes for checking all dark shimmers. I wanna try these two shimmers. They are red, they are just simply red. And honestly, if we take a look at this palette, it looks just simply red. And don't, I didn't get it. Honestly, I didn't get it. So we are gonna try shade Brick today as the main shade. And I wanna try this dark brown. Actually, it has red undertone and it's gonna be the shade near the lash lines. And mainly, most likely, I'm gonna use shade, I think it's called Robin, for blending this beautiful red shade, Brick, into skin, and it's gonna be our crease shade. Maybe I will use the lightest one as well, and probably I will try to check some light shades, light shimmers as well, because just applying these two on upper lid is like too boring too boring, but I want to try and I want to close this point. And honestly, I'm a little bit disappointed by the color story. I thought that it would be kind of pink, light pink, maybe warm pink, but it's red, and it doesn't sound that nice and that great. Okay, anyway, on this side I'm not gonna have any shadow primers. On this side I'm gonna have one. We're gonna start from this red-orange shade, and it's gonna be our main matte shade. So starting from the center right here, applying the shade till the crease. I'm gonna blend it, of course. It's so orange. Okay, anyway, changing the brush, grabbing a smaller one and applying this shade a little bit on the lower lid and in the outer corner, of course. Now let's try this beautiful warm pink, peach pink shade, and gonna add it to the crease and gonna blend this orange thin using this lighter shade. And most likely, and I will definitely have to use something lighter. Let's try this beauty. This shade is a little bit lighter than this one, and it's peach. Blending everything into skin. Strange color story, but okay. Moving to the shimmers, starting from the dark red, and I'm gonna apply it closer to the outer corner, right here. It's more or less the same as our brick shade, maybe a little bit darker and has a bit more redness. Blending the edge right here. And now let's try slightly pink shade, and I think that I need something lighter as well. At least I'll try. Adding in the center what's left on my brush, moving in all directions. Maybe no, maybe I will keep it. We still we're still gonna have brown, so maybe that's okay. I don't like this color story, honestly. I don't like it at all. And I definitely can understand that I won't use this palette daily. Let's add dark brown, starting from gel eyeliner, applying it near the lash line, and of course I'm gonna blend it, and as well I will add it in the waterline, but a little bit later, grabbing a brush actually, and I actually should finish lower lid before applying the shade in the waterline, blending the edge, moving the shade slightly out. Back to the lower lid, let's add this beauty, this light shade in the inner corner, right here. It appears kind of pink, but it's peachy. Back to eyeliner, applying it in the waterline, and blending edges. Now let's try a dark brown from the palette. I'm gonna use it for setting this liner, and probably I will add a bit more finished look. And I'm not happy with what I have currently on my eyes, knowing the price, because the truth is that this color story is extremely cheap. You can easily find nice cheap eyeshadow palettes, and you can easily do more or less the same look. And paying 73 euro for having this look doesn't really make sense. Yes, it was easy to work with these eyeshadows, with these matte eyeshadows, but color story is cheap. This pigment doesn't cost a lot. I mean, this orange red pigment. Sorry, but I am disappointed, I would say. And if we talk about the shades I used today, I tried 4 matte eyeshadows, and actually I tried 5. Yeah. Yes, it was easy to work with them. Yes, I agree. Yes, it was easy to blend these 3 shades. I agree. But still, I don't like. I think that for this money, this color story, it's not worth it. It's not really worth it. And by the way, I tried to apply a little bit of this shimmer in the center just for having a bit more fun. So from the quality point of view, that's okay, that's fine. For the color story point of view, I'm disappointed. Honestly, I'm extremely disappointed, and I can understand that I'm not gonna use half of these shades. Never, most likely never. And I did once quite similar look, not even once, I would say, using cheaper eyeshadows. And it was more or less the same. So I'm so sorry, but it looks fine, okay, it looks fine. But I'm disappointed. I'm a little bit disappointed. Sorry, sorry. By the way, talking about shimmers, they were okay. They were basic red, orange shade, red, pink. But I think if we talk about this shade Rue, I would say I saw it somewhere. I think that I've seen it. Probably as a part of some Valentine's Tuck palette or something, because it doesn't really look that unique, I would say. Okay, sorry. Sorry, I'm just disappointed. And that's why I don't like it. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm gonna show you I look closely, and we're gonna see each other in the evening. I have my makeup on around 12 hours today, and now it's time to check everything. As a reminder, on this side I've used an eyeshadow primer, and on this side I haven't used anything. So eyeshadow started to crease right here, but they still look nicely. And talking about shimmers, they're in place and they didn't fall off. So from the wearing point of view, everything looks kind of nicely. Second look, and I hope that it would be better than the first one. And today I want to try these two beautiful, slightly golden shades and something a little bit purple. And most likely I will draw a win. I want to try this beautiful shade as a part of the final look, the third one. Maybe I will do an extra, I don't really know. We'll see how it goes. So today I want to try these two matte shadows, want to try these two beautiful toppers, and most likely this metallic shade. And so this beauty is gonna be our crease shade, and for blending everything to skin, I'm gonna use probably this one. At least that's the plan. In the inner corner, again, the lightest shade. No, or not the lightest. Probably this beauty. Or this beauty. I don't know. Oh no, this one. This one is lighter. Or do I really wanna? So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We are gonna start today from the crease shade, from this beautiful Ren. It's warm. Let's go. On this side I'm gonna use an eyeshadow primer, and on this side I don't have anything. Actually this shade is kind of nice, but again, not for everyone. If you have gold undertone, the shade would appear a little bit too orange in your case. Moving the shade a little bit out. Easy to work, easy to blend. Beautiful. Back to Robin. This shade is a little bit lighter than this one. This one contains more pink, this one contains more peach. And blending the edge right here a little bit. And moving everything out. Let's try the darkest shade for today, this one. Crossing fingers, but I don't really think that this shade is new to Natasha. I think that they have at least several similar shades. Starting from the outer corner. Beautiful, basic, but nothing really special. I definitely think that I have something similar. And moving shade a bit to the crease and a little bit above. Grabbing a small brush and the same shade, I'm gonna add it in the inner corner. Well, not really in the inner corner, closer to the inner corner, and blending the shade to the previous one. Let's try shimmers. We're gonna start from the golden one. I'm gonna add it closer to the matte. We are back to this formula, seems like, to the one that can be easily applied with a brush. Applying closer to matte eyeshadows from one side and from the other one. Layering a little bit. Changing the side and grabbing this beauty. Same issue here. Okay, fine. Adding in the middle. Right here and blending all shades together. This shade is nice, beautiful. Shades a little bit too pink, at least it seems like. Moving to the lower lid and again starting from the darkest shade. Adding it right here till the pupil. In the inner corner, I want to add this beauty. The lightest shade from the palette. It's a little bit peach as a reminder. So adding it right here. Blending the shade into the previous one. And moving to the lower lid. Let's try this shade. I'm gonna add it on the lower lid. Near the pupil, right here. It shifts a little bit from light golden to peach. Near the lash line, adding black eyeliner. Pushing the shade between the lashes. And in the waterline, gonna add something bronzy. And I will draw in the background using this beauty from Natasha Denona shade Brown. Finished look, and my lashes are not the best one today, and I'm extremely nervous because I had a kind of a glue eruption and I had to clean up everything. And currently I have glue on my wall, on my curtains, and I'm sorry, it's just like today is definitely not my day because it is a working day and I had to spend time for cleaning. And that's why I will definitely have to work longer today. I hate you. I hate you, glue. Sorry, my lashes are not the greatest today. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but really, I'm just. Let me tell you what I'm wearing currently on this lip liner from Really in shade 12 and this lip balm from Vivienne Savoy in shade 1. Back to our beautiful palette. Currently, today I like this look and especially I like these two beautiful shimmers, but I'm not that happy that you have to kind of put some pressure for grabbing this product on a brush. And especially it's related to this beautiful golden shade. I will kind of try to show it to you. I have kind of a layer of something on top, and knowing that I applied this product with a brush, it's a little bit kind of not nice seeing it. And this formula is actually not the greatest from Natasha Denona because she has better formulas, metallic formulas, but these two beauties, they actually look kind of nicely on eyelid. But honestly, I did something similar, I would say even recently, using products from Natasha Denona. So that's why I'm kind of a little bit not sure about it. I like this beautiful shade. It's a kind of warm strawberries. Looks interesting, easy to work with it, easy to blend it. I'm not sure about this shade, honestly. It looks a little bit patchy. So it's not that easy to blend the shades. It stucks a little bit in some places. And you know what? I haven't tried only these three shades, so we will try them tomorrow as a part of the final look. And I'm not that impressed. I'm not that impressed. Yeah, there are some shades that are kind of fine, interesting, lovely, but I don't know. I probably expected a little bit more, and I expected seeing more neutral, pink neutral shades, but all pink shades are warm. I'm not against warm shades, but I wish we had a kind of a mix of something neutral and warm, for instance, because here we have only warm shades. Okay, now I'm gonna show you I look closely, and we're gonna see each other in the evening. I have my makeup on around 9.5 hours, and it was a complicated day, extremely complicated day. And as a reminder, on this side I haven't used an eyeshadow primer, and on this side I've used it. And this side looks perfectly. On this side eyeshadows creased as usual, same place, right here. Not that badly, it could be worse, I know it. But yeah, it happened. But still, for me, it's okay. And talking about under eye area, everything actually looks kind of fine, and my eyeshadows are still quite bright. Final look, and only these three shades are left. So today we're gonna have as a star of the look this beautiful, slightly duochrome shade, and I hope that it's gonna be fine. You know what? It reminds me one shade from Roxa palette, and I think that they may look more or less similar on eyelid. And today we're gonna do probably something kind of simple. I'm gonna use this beauty as the darker shade for the day. We're gonna try it as it is. Then as a crease shade, this one, and probably this shade for blending everything into skin. In the inner corner, most likely I will add this beauty. And yeah, that's the plan. And You know what? Probably as a transition shade between the darkest one and this one, I'm gonna use this one that is slightly pink. Let's go. Starting from the darkest shade today and from the outer corner, of course. Adding this shade, blending it a little bit. I've already told you that this shade is based on red, actually. So it's not a basic classical brown, it's brown red. But it's quite easy to work with it. Applying it till the crease. Now changing a brush, and let's try this beautiful shade Plus. It's warm. Again, it's a little bit warm. And it's gonna be our crease shade. Starting from the darkest place, the shade itself is actually quite dark. And blending the edges. Not that impressed, but okay. Shade Kin. Grabbing it on a fluffy brush. And blending the edge. And blending actually everything into skin right here. Moving to the shimmers, starting from dark pink, grabbing it on a flat brush and gonna add it closer to the matte eyeshadow. It's gonna be our kind of transition shade in between. Changing aside, and now let's try this beautiful shade. I hope that I can easily apply it with a brush. Well, there is a little bit. And applying it in the center, yeah, looks great. And what's left on my brush, moving to all directions. I think that this shade is the best one from the palette, actually. What's left on my brush, applying above the crease. The shade is perfect. In the inner corner, let's add this beauty. Starting from the inner corner directly and blending the shade a little bit. It shifts slightly from peach to golden. And you know what? On the lower lid, I want to add something blue or dark blue or navy even. We'll see. Moving to the lower lid, starting again from the darker shade from the palette and adding the shade in the outer corner. Currently, it's quite visible that the shade even a little bit red. Now let's probably add something lighter. And I wanna add it in between, right here. Maybe no. I'm not sure because I don't really like the way it looks like. Or I will keep it. Will I keep it? I will keep it. Fine. Not the best idea, not the greatest, but okay, fine. Near the lash line, adding black eyeliner. And in the waterline, let's add this blue shade. If I don't like it, I will add something else. But actually it looks okay. Fine, we'll keep it. Finished look, and my favorite shade from this palette, of course, is this one. It looks amazing, and I think that this shade is the best one. Let me tell you what I'm wearing currently on lips. Lip liner from Natasha Denona in shade Natasha, and lipstick from Azam in shade Champagne Shimmer. Beautiful, interesting lipstick. Actually, it's kind of nice. It's a little bit shimmer, but shimmers are not big. I feel extremely comfortable on lips. Back to our beauty. Red. Red and orange. I have 3 favorite shades from this palette, and mainly toppers, mainly metallics. These 2 and this one. Others, honestly, I don't think it makes sense buying this palette. My honest review. For daily looks, I'm not sure, and all looks, they look at least a little bit, but either orange or red. And I don't have any favorite matte eyeshadows. Maybe this one, but you know, it's kind of, it's okay, but I can find probably something similar. Talking about these mid-tone shades, I can't really tell you that they are unique as well. They are warm. All of these shades, they are warm. Even brown is warm, red, and I expected probably more. At least I expected having more unique and more complicated shades. And here we have something kind of basic, I would say. So I don't know, from the quality point of view, I almost don't have any questions. I'm not sure. Okay, I have some, and they are related to metallics because it's not that easy to apply these two shades with a brush. They're kind of not only creamy, they're a little bit firm, and that's the main reason why you can easily apply them with fingers, and they are gonna be fine. But still something like this. Now I'm gonna show you eye look closely, and again we are gonna see each other in the evening. I have my makeup on today around 12 and a half hours, and now it's time to check everything. As a reminder, on this side I haven't used an eyeshadow primer, and eyeshadow is creased, and even right here. So now you know. On this side I've used an eyeshadow primer, and everything looks perfectly. And eyeshadows, they didn't fall off as far as I can see. So yeah, definitely can suggest wearing shimmers over something, especially if you have deep eyes, at least slightly deep eyes and hooded eyes. This time, while filming the looks, I was a little bit over emotional, and I shared with you all my feelings about this palette. But honestly, I do prefer kind of keeping my feelings to myself partially, and giving you pros and cons, and later on telling you what I really think about the palette and so on. This time it was a little bit differently. I'm sorry about that, but I was a little bit disappointed when I received this palette, and when I swatched it, and when I understood that this palette, it wasn't what I expected, honestly, and that's the main reason why. Okay, my thoughts and feelings are away. Now we are talking about pros and cons, and we are discussing everything without my feelings, as usual. So this palette costs 70, almost 73 euro. Of course, you can try to find it on sales, and you can save a little bit. In total, we have here 17.75 grams and 15 eyeshadow. Sorry, I had to make an unexpected break because my eyeshadow palettes from Charlotte Tilbury, they've just arrived. I ordered these two, and of course I'm gonna film reviews. Back to this beauty from Natasha Denona. As a reminder, here we have 15 eyeshadows in total, and yep. Talking about total weight, guys, I would say that it's kind of a lot if we compare this palette to some others from Natasha Denona. For instance, oh, by the way, in I Need the Warm palette, we have even a little bit more. But honestly, in general, we have around 16 or 17 grams in total. As an option, oh, by the way, here we had 19 Zenda palette. And talking about retro, I think 19 as well. Hold on. Hold on. Roxa, 17 grams. You know what? I noticed one thing while filming swatching. So here we have 18, here we had 17. And you know what I noticed while I was filming swatches and while I was filming comparison? That refills, they look a little bit kind of smaller if we compare this palette to some others. Here, they look even a little bit more smaller if we compare it to this palette. But for instance, if we compare this one to this one, Zenda from Natasha. Oh no, maybe I was wrong. Sorry. Sorry. Okay, back to this beauty. And here we have one matte eyeshadow formula. It's a basic eyeshadow formula from Natasha Denona. We don't have this interesting creamy formula at all here. And we have, I would say, three metallic formulas here. Basic metallic formula, super simple, and you can easily find it in all eyeshadows, eyeshadow palettes from Natasha Denona. A more sparkling formula, it's a kind of a duochrome, and I would say that these three shades are made in this formula, and a basic metallic formula that is super creamy. Because if we talk about these two guys, these two are kind of a mix of metallic and satin, and they are not that shimmery and glittery and creamy as this formula. And we don't have any eyeshadows in this beautiful, interesting, sparkling formula that was released as a part of I Need a Nude palette. And it's a little bit, I would say, disappointing. And I'm a big fan of this lovely formula from Natasha. I think it's great. It's a kind of a dupe to Urban Decay, Space Cowboy, Bobbi Brown, Moonstone, and this formula is simply kind of glittery, and it's more like a topper, more like a sparkle. And we don't have this formula in this palette at all. And it's a little bit unexpected, I would say, because I'm used to receiving this lovely formula. For instance, in Roxa palette, we have a shade that is called, I think it's called Flutter or Flutter. I don't know. So this one, and it's a beautiful topper. We just simply have glitters here. They look so amazing on eyelid, and this formula is my favorite. Quality time. Matte eyeshadows. As I've already told you, this formula is not new to Natasha Denona. It's a well-known formula. It's quite easy to work with these matte eyeshadows, easy to blend them. They are pigmented, of course, and they are creamy. And I wish I could tell you that all shades are great from the quality point of view and they are blendable. Unfortunately, not really. This shade, it sucks a little bit while blending and it's a little bit patchy, unfortunately. And if we compare this shade to this one is quite dark as well and so on. But no, this one, it was easy to work with it. It was quite easy to blend it. This one is a little bit tricky. Talking about this brick shade, it may stuck a little bit as well, but not that badly, and you can easily move and blend the shade using others. Of course, you can blend this product, you can blend the shade, but it's not that easy if we compare this shade to others. Talking about these basic metallics, they're okay. From the wearing point of view, if we talk about metallics from Natasha Denona, they can crease, especially super creamy eyeshadows, and actually it's expected. If you want to be sure that nothing would crease during a day, use an eyeshadow primer. And I know that eyeshadow primers, they don't really work for everyone. If eyeshadow primers don't work in your case, use liquid eyeshadows. You should use a product that can fully dry down, and you should use it as a base for your eyeshadows. And in this case, everything is going to be fine and nothing would crease during the day. And even these beautiful, super creamy eyeshadows from Natasha Denona, they would stay in place, I can guarantee, especially if you know some tricks. While applying these beautiful toppers over liquid eyeshadows. So yeah, from the wearing point of view, they can crease. These basic metallics, they don't, because they are a little bit drier. You can easily apply these basic metallics with any brushes and you shouldn't have any issues at all. Moving to this formula, it's more or less the same as this one. We just simply have less extra glitters and extra toppers. Extra glitters, extra shimmers, let's say it this way. They are super creamy, and you can easily apply these two shades. Well, this one is not that easy to apply with oral brushes, but this one, easily. You can do it without any issues. The only thing that this shade, it appears to me that it's a little bit flaky, so be careful while applying it. This one you can apply with using a flat brush, but in some cases it may not really work. It would depend on a specific brush. And from the wearing point of view, I've already told you everything. While applying these shimmers, they don't fall off, and while wearing all the shimmers, they don't fall off. If in your case, for some reasons, they can fall off, again, use liquid eyeshadows or use an eyeshadow primer, and it should be fine. And one formula is left, and unfortunately, it's a little bit kind of firm in this palette, and it's not that easy to apply with it with all brushes. Sometimes you have to spend some time, and sometimes it's easier to apply these toppers using just simply fingers. If it's your palette, yeah, that's okay, that's fine. If you're a makeup artist, well, guys, as a makeup artist, we should use brushes for applying products on the client. Everything should be cleaned, and don't forget about that. Using fingers may work, but don't forget to use disinfector, please. Don't forget about that. And be careful, because sometimes when you apply toppers, sooner or later you can have a thin layer of I would say oil on top of your eyeshadows, and you have to take this top layer kind of out for fixing the eyeshadows. Here it may happen as well, so now you know. Color story, guys, and this palette is fully warm. We don't have any neutral shades, any. All eyeshadows you see in this palette, they are warm. Maybe this one is more or less neutral because we have a light blue and light lilac and purple glitters here. Maybe it's a single exceptions. Other shades are warm. There, guys, warm, and almost all eyeshadows have kind of red undertone. And that's the main reason why I'm not a big fan of this palette. Sorry. Let's discuss all shades, and yeah, let's go. Let's start from this beautiful shade. It's a mix of light pink, light blue, light lilac, and kind of a bit of purple. It's this shade is amazing. It looks so yummy, so great, and this shade is my favorite from the palette. I have actually 3 favorite shades. These 3, of course. It's not that easy to work with them, but they look so stunning on eyelid. If we talk about matte eyeshadows, my favorite is probably this one and this one. That's it. Least favorite is this one, of course, because it's red, red orange. Moving on, this one, it looks in the palette like something neutral, but it's warm. It's a mix of purple with a red undertone, a red-orange undertone. So that's why when you apply this product on eyelid, it looks more warm. This shade, it's a mix of light pink with peach and orange. And main shade, I would say orange peach. Pink looks more like an undertone in this case. This shade, red orange shade, and we have some extra glitters here, pink glitters, but I can't really tell you that they are super visible on eyelid. This shade has visible base, so you can easily apply it as it is on eyelid. This one, it's light peach with a bit of pink. Interesting shade, and that's why actually I like it, but it looks more peach on eyelid than pink. Moving on, the next one. It appears like something neutral again, but it's not neutral at all. It's dark pink with orange or orange peach, I would say. So this shade is warm, and pink is visible, but depends on the other shades. If you use this shade with something pink, using with another palette, for instance, it would appear more pink. But if you use this palette with all eyeshadows, if you use this shade with all other shades from this palette, it would appear more orange on eyelid. This one, it's a kind of warm pink shade, and it looks like pink with a bit of warmness on eyelid. This one it's called brick, and it's a brick. Literally. Honestly, it's a dark orange shade with a bit of red undertone. Nothing to it. This shade is so cheap. It's so easy to produce. It's so easy to buy this pigment, and be careful with this shade, with such shades, because they kind of, you can easily have an allergy reaction to this shade. Be careful with it. Neutral golden with pink glitters. Beautiful, interesting shade, but I can't really tell you that it's super unique. And honestly, you can easily find something similar in other eyeshadow palettes. This one is more like neutral golden with golden shimmers and with a bit of light pink shimmers. Interesting, lovely, but again, you can find something similar quite easily if you have any golden eyeshadow palettes. This one, a mix of peach and golden. Shade itself is quite dark, especially if we compare this one to this one, because this one as well, a mix of light pink with a bit of peach and with a bit of champagne. This one just simply looks a bit more warmer and a bit darker if we compare these two shades. This one, it looks like brown, like something brown in the palette. Brown with red undertone. This shade is warm. It's really, really warm. And if you use this shade as the darker shade in your look, and if you're gonna use other shades from this palette, this shade will definitely appear as red on eyelid. This one is peach. Dot. Nothing to add. This one is more like neutral strawberry with a bit of warmness. With a bit of peach, but depending on your undertone, it may appear like neutral pink. But it's still warm. And now it's time to compare, and I have quite many palettes to compare, and I found quite many similar shades, and especially it's related to matte eyeshadows. So let's do some swatches. I prepared some notes for not missing everything, and we are gonna start from matte eyeshadows and from dark brown shade, this one. Warm, dark shade. And we're gonna start from Catrice. I have two lovely warm eyeshadow palettes from Catrice, and take a look. One, two, but this one looks more red. And we are gonna start from this one. It's 5 in a box, the shade 16. This one looks more neutral, actually, if we compare it to Natasha Denona, and it looks darker. This one from Tiny Treasures, shade 30, looks kind of similar to this shade from Natasha Denona. But again, it looks more neutral if we compare. Look at it. It's Natasha Denona, and it looks even red if we compare it to this to the other eyeshadows. And one more option, Huda Beauty Topaz Obsession. And here we have dark brown shade. And this one actually is kind of close as well, because it's brown with a red undertone. Yeah, I agree. Currently, they look not identical, but as a part of some looks, they actually may look quite similar. Now, let's talk about this lovely shade. As I've told you, it's quite easy to produce it, and you can easily find it in any eyeshadow palettes, especially if you buy a warm eyeshadow palette. We're gonna start from this palette from Huda Beauty. And here I have actually two shades that look kind of similar, but I've swatched mainly this one. And these two, they look similar. Probably a shade from Huda Beauty is a little bit darker. Eyeshadow palette from Catrice, this shade, swatching side by side. And this shade from Catrice, you know what? It looks extremely close to this shade from Natasha Denona. The next palette is gonna be from Anastasia Beverly Hills. So yeah, it's quite old. Jackie Aina, and we have shade that is called Edges here. And let me show it to you closely. Again, kind of similar shade, and this one if we compare this one to these two, I would say that these two even look kind of darker. And if you thought that we are done, we aren't. Actually, Revolution, I think that I haven't noted it. Okay, Revolution. And let me show it to you. They look similar, guys. They look similar, but here we have more light shades. But if we talk about dark color story, these two palettes, they look similar. Revolution. Revolution is here. And one more shade. I have this extremely big palette from P. Louise, and here I have at least two shades that look kind of similar. And look at it. We have quite many orange shades here, and these two. I swatched mainly these two. But honestly, I can find some others from this palette that would look more or less similar. It's so easy to find this shade. So that's why I don't really think that you need this palette just simply because of this shade. You can find quite many other palettes with this shade. Maybe undertone wouldn't be exactly the same, but honestly, on eyelid, depending on a specific look, guys, they would look more or less similar. Shade Floss, our kind of neutral pink, dark pink, that is not really neutral. And as an option, I'm gonna show you this palette from Revolution and this shade. And I think that these two, they look kind of similar, quite similar. Maybe this one is a bit more pink. This one is a little bit warmer. And as an option, Huda Beauty Rich palette. And by the way, we have two shimmers from this palette that look kind of similar to Natasha as well. Look, not exactly the same, not super identical, but the color story is kind of similar. Next shade, Robin, a mix of pink with peach. And mainly we have here peach. The first shade is going to be from P. Louise. It's a limited edition from 2024 Christmas time, and we have shade Bon Appetit here. Very specific palette from the color story point of view, but still, why not? And these two, they look similar. They look super close. The next palette is gonna be from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and it's gonna be this palette. And here we have, guys, we have a blush here. And this blush is so similar to this eyeshadow from Natasha Denona. Maybe this one is a little bit lighter, but honestly, again, on eyelid, they may look super identical. And the next palette is going to be from NARS. It's a limited edition, Summer Unrated. And actually here we have several shades that kind of remind me palette from Natasha Denona. This beautiful shade, it's one of my favorite shades from this palette. Like it, and I do prefer this color story just simply because we have more interesting shades. We have something brown here, something pink here, something golden. Here we have everything kind of only red, orange, and a bit of pink. And this beautiful shade, honestly, I do prefer this one because this one contains more pink as this shade. This one looks more peachy. Next shade, Keen, and it's peachy. Lovely, beautiful peach shade. And as an option, again, Anastasia Beverly Hills shade Mango. And this shade is going to be just, I would say, kind of brighter. And maybe it contains a little bit less pink. But same thing, on eyelid, it's not going to be that visible. Slightly purple shade Clover. And I found several shades from Natasha Denona that look kind of similar. We're going to start from Baby Love palette. And we have a beautiful, interesting shade here. This one is not that warm if we compare these two. And I would say that this shade contains a bit more pink. But again, in some cases, they may look kind of similar. And one more option, I think it's this one, shade, shade, a retro palette, and this lovely shade from here. It's a kind of a mix of purple with red undertone. And that's why I would say that these two kind of, they look similar, being honest. Shade Petal, and it's my beloved light peach shade. And I found several shades that look kind of similar. The first one is going to be from, again, Natasha Denona Mini Starlet Palette, and this beautiful shade in the middle. It looks kind of similar. Honestly, these two, they look super, super close. And one more option from Revolution, again, from this palette. I think that this palette is a star for today. And the light shade from this palette, it looks kind of similar. Maybe undertone is not full correct. Here we have more, this one is a little bit lighter and has less pink. This one has a little bit of pink. And yeah, it might be visible in some cases, but still this cream, depending on the look, again, may look kind of similar. We are done with matte eyeshadows, moving to metallics, and we are gonna start from this basic metallic, and it reminds me a metallic, again, basic metallic from Natasha Denona, and from this palette, from Zenda palette. I have to, I always have to check my notes. This shade, they are not the same. Honestly, these two, they are not the same, but they have kind of similar undertones. Zenda, shade from Zender, is going to be brighter and contains more red, while this one contains more peach. Sorry. Moving on, the next one is going to be this beautiful Lush, one of my favorite shade. And honestly, I think that another shade from Natasha Denona is similar to this one from this palette. I Need a Warm palette. And I'm talking about this beautiful shade Push. They look almost identical. Guys, take a look. Maybe this one is a little bit darker, but just a little bit. But again, on eyelid, they would look the same. Amber. Our interesting red shade. And again, I have, I would say, quite many similar shades. We're gonna start from Natasha Denona. And here I have Mini Crush palette and this red shade. It appears kind of more red and it doesn't have glitters, but depending on the look, again, they may look kind of similar. Next one is gonna be, I think that from Huda Beauty. And we have a lovely red shade here. Let's compare. Let's do some swatches. This one is definitely closer to Natasha than this one from Natasha, but still. And one more shade from Anastasia Beverly Hills again. And this one looks more, it reminds me more of this one from Crush from Natasha Denona. These two, I would say, closer. Shade Room, a little bit pink, warm pink, and I'm gonna show you 3 palettes. We're gonna start from Anastasia Beverly Hills, Carly Bubble, and we have a shade that is called Hour here. And you know what? These two, they look kind of similar, but not in this case. Oh, that's funny. In some cases, they look kind of similar because this shade, it shifts a little bit from golden to pink. But, you know, depending on the shades that are going to be nearby, they may look similar. Next one is going to be, again, from NARS and again from this palette. We have a slightly pink shade here. I think that it was this one. Yeah, this one. And you know, this shade looks a little bit similar to this one. Let me do use swatches because I think that I haven't filled them, but they are not exactly, but they are not that similar. Let's see. Okay, NARS. pink, and Huda Rich palette. And here we have slightly pink shade. And take a look. Take a look. Probably Huda has a bit more golden, but you know, these two kind of similar, kind of similar. Let's try to swatch Fleur and a shade from NARS. I'm referring to this one because I didn't think about this too while I was filming close swatches. Well, they aren't. Similar undertones, but this one is more pink, this one is more peach. And we have one more shade to talk about, and this beautiful shade from this palette, it reminds me so badly this palette from Natasha Denona, Roxa. And you know, guys, they have different undertones, different base, but in some cases they may look identical. I'm referring to this beautiful shade from this palette because coppers, glitters, they are the same, but the bases are different. This one is warmer and more peachy. This one looks more pink. But shimmers, they look kind of similar. And now it's time to share my thoughts and my feelings. As you could guess, I'm not a big fan of this palette and I expected having something more. When this palette was released, I thought that it would be more pink or a mix of pink and peach or something neutral pink. I didn't thought about cool tone palette. No, that's okay. Having something warm for me, that's fine. But I didn't thought that this palette would be that orange and that red. And I can't really tell you that these shades are super useful from daily looks point of view. You're not gonna use half of these shades. You're not gonna use these dark, slightly red shimmers in real life. That's the thing, that's the truth. And depending on your undertone, you may not really like this palette at all because it's fully warm. And all looks I did, they looked kind of similar, and it's not okay. Honestly, it's not that okay. And what I don't really like about this palette is that we have several shades that are kind of extremely cheap. From Natasha Denona, I expect having something complicated. I expect having and seeing beautiful, interesting undertones. And I don't expect having shade Brick. Because it's a basic orange shade that is super cheap and that you can easily find in other palettes. Easily, really. And same thing related to this brown shade. Brown with a red undertone. Well, guys, you can easily find it as well. Even from drugstore, you can easily find them. Yeah, there are some shades that are kind of a little bit more complicated, and I like them because they are complicated. But I can understand that I'm not gonna use this palette that often. Let's be honest, I'm not gonna use it that often. I definitely will never use this shade from this palette, and most likely these two as well. This one most likely as well, because I have some other shades that look kind of similar. And if I didn't have this palette, well, I could do looks I did using other palettes. That's the thing, that's the truth. And when I started finding some dupe shades, and when I swatched this palette from Revolution, I was like, whoa, guys, hold on. It's not okay. It's not okay. And you can easily buy this palette from Revolution, and no need to buy this palette from Natasha Denona, especially if you have this something similar to this shade and this two. If you have some nice peach matte eyeshadows, I don't really think that you need this palette as well. So of course it's up to you to decide, but I was and I am a little bit disappointed. I expected seeing something different. I expected seeing different color story. And I really didn't thought that this palette would be that red and that orange. So my thoughts, sorry, but that's life. And I just simply want to share with you what I really think about this palette. Yeah, kind of. Let me know down below what you think about this palette. Are you gonna buy it or no? Do you like such color stories or no? Or for instance, you prefer having something more neutral or a mix of neutral and warm? I hope you enjoyed this video, and if yes, don't forget to put a thumbs up and of course consider subscribing. I wish you a pleasant day and I hope to see you soon in the next video. Bye bye.